Welcome to Doctoring the Truth, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on healthcare gone wrong. I'm your host, Jenna Tennell, and with me is my delightful co-host, Amanda House. We're two doctors of audiology here to bring you inside real-life cases where once trusted healthcare providers veered off the ethical path into criminal territory.
Amanda. Hey, it's like Tim the Tool Man.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's problematic. Anyway, how are you?
Hi, Jenna. Hi. Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Y'all just missed it. I was just like, Raven, you cannot be nesting at the beginning of this episode because no one wants to hear that. And Jenna doesn't have the time to edit all your scritchy scratchies on my blanket out.
But this baby was so sad. She had to go hide under the bed, and all I could see was her little beady eyes glinting in the camera. And she was so sad. She's like, I mean, first of all, I had you all to myself for how many years? 6, 7 years. And now there's somebody that takes all your time and attention and smells and makes noise. And I can't even nest on your freaking bed. Poor Raven.
She's like, lady, recording night is our time. I can't even nest properly anymore. She did. She threw a big fit under the bed. I had to coax her out. I said,
she needs to come Auntie Jenna's house. I'll let you nest away, baby. Although the beds are super high. But
okay. Well, yeah. The reason I usually just let her nest away, right? But the reason I made her stop was because she just got a nail trim. And I could hear those little suckers scritchy scratching on my comforter, and I didn't want it to snag.
No, I get that. And good for you for taking your dog for a pedicure. Like, I can't afford that stuff. I'll just tell him, listen, let's go on the pavement and scratch your paw a bunch of times.
Listen. Let me tell you about her little pedicure really fast. So I took her to the vet for just an appointment, and I was like, oh, hey, we have to get these ratchet nails taken care of. And they were like, yeah, okay, sounds good. You know, and I was like, okay, do you guys use a Dremel there? It's a new vet, right? And so I've never been there. And I'm like, do you guys Dremel? And they're like, well, we do, but, you know, it's extra cost. I'm like, oh, okay, no, I've never been there. How much is a nail trim anyway? They're like, well, it starts at $30.
What?
And I was like, starts.
Starts?
And they were like, starts? Okay. I'm listening, okay? And she goes, that's if your dog is behaving, if your animal's behaving. I said, she said, if it's a difficult animal, then it's an extra fee. And I was
incredible.
Like, okay, so how about the Dremel? She was like, well, that's $55 for one that is behaving. I was like,
girl, your human could get a mani-pedi for that. Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. So needless to say, I did not do the Dremel for my sweet, sweet princess. And normally she does get a Dremel. She usually gets her nails done at daycare, but I'm home for the summer. So I had her do it at the vet. And you know what? That might be the end of that. She's going to get a Dremel when she goes back to daycare.
Oh my God. And imagine, okay, so you have to pay extra for a dog that misbehaves. It's hard to test or treat, right? I can't stop thinking about our jobs and the kids that go through, like I had a 2-year-old today just tear it apart. Like we used every single toy on the premises and everything got thrown. You broke 2 pieces of equipment.
I was literally picturing kids pulling the cords out of the wall in the booth.
Yeah, he broke the clip off one of our pieces of equipment that does admittance.
Yep,
and OAEs.
Yeah.
And then he broke the VRA remote. And it's like, I get it. You're two, you have feelings. Like you don't have enough language to really express it. So I get it. I get how you felt about the whole thing. But imagine I charged extra. I actually have to charge less because I didn't get enough results. Like I got one ear, but not the other, you know?
And then you actually cost us more because the stuff's broken.
And when you don't have an assistant, you have to clean all the toys. Yeah.
Been there, done that. Spent a lot of hours of my life cleaning toys.
Yep.
Yeah, so sorry, sister. Yeah. In other news, I have squash stuck in my hair from my kid. So
I thought it was a fancy, like, conditioning treatment or something.
Nope. It's not as bad as something about Mary situation, but it is squash.
Well, thank goodness it's not about Mary's situation. But I will say, like, there are plenty of cultures that put henna in their hair to give it that reddish hue.
Oh.
Do you think maybe squash might give you a nice little orange highlight going on?
I think it was a little heavy on the butternut, so I might just be like a golden girl.
Listen, if you get hungry during the episode, you can just have a little snack.
Just start sucking on my hair.
Oh, boy.
I look as disheveled as I am advertising, y'all.
You look like a busy mama, and you look gorgeous. Gorgeous, darling. Gorgeous.
Oh, well, just thanks. Okay, so welcome to episode 73. Everybody, happy to have you here. We don't really have a correction section, I don't think. Do we?
I mean, I'm sure I did some stuff wrong, but
I didn't hear anything. I have something to say, but it's not a correction. But I don't have a correction.
Nobody's clamoring loudly. So, Alley Cat's.
Well, I might have an unread message from Rich. I don't know.
Listen,
Rich, I have squash in my hair right now. I can't check.
Your squeaky wheel, you'll get the attention. Otherwise, don't hint. Just let us know.
Oh, funny.
I think we're good.
I'm gonna check later, Rich. Okay, so not a correction, but information from a previous episode. I think like 2 or 3 ago, where I was like talking about preeclampsia and mortality rates. So I did say I was going to look that up, and I did. So globally, the top 3 causes of maternal death are hemorrhage, preeclampsia or eclampsia, and sepsis. So isn't that wild? Top 3. And preeclampsia claims 70,000 maternal lives and 500,000 fetal lives each year, according to the CDC. Oh my gosh,
that is huge. I know it's the whole world, but seriously, that many babies die every year still in this day and age?
Yeah, it's a lot. And of course, in
it's tragic.
Areas that they don't have access to medical care, medical wastelands, of course, it's happening more there. But it is very severe and scary. And it does still claim, like you said, a lot of lives annually, even in 2026.
Wow. I hope we can do something about that and soon.
Yeah, I agree. Because also, once you have preeclampsia, I don't remember if we said this in that episode or not, but if you go on to have another child, your likelihood of having it again is increased. No.
That's scary.
No.
I honestly feel like it's a miracle that anyone gets born and survives birth and mothers survive. I mean, it's just such a crucial time, Imagine 500,000 babies in a room, like in an auditorium or stadium. You wouldn't even be able to fit them in a stadium. And that's how many babies die from preeclampsia.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we hearing about this more?
Yeah, just one thing. Yeah.
Why aren't we hearing more about this?
I don't know. I never really heard about it until I had it.
How scary. Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe future episode, research topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no time like the present to hop into sponsor. Numero uno. Numero uno. If you've been looking for something to give your skin a little extra love, not squash, you have to hear about products from Love Indus. We have featured previously their Luminosity Dewdrops on our show, which are basically like having a facial in a bottle. It is a lightweight serum that deeply hydrates while helping your skin look firmer, smoother, and more radiant. And what makes it so unique are the ingredients, which feature Mugga silk from India, known for its strength and longevity, along with antioxidant silver tips tea and ashwagandha, which is a botanical that helps skin recover from everyday stress and fatigue you. Please excuse me as I turn on a light as I feel it will help me read.
I want to hear more about fatigue you. How does fatigue differ from fatigue?
It's in the garden by the...
It does. It sounds like a flower.
Yeah, it's in the garden.
Oh, bless.
By the fun guy. Okay. But what I actually came here to share about this company is they have a product that I just learned about. It's called Freedom of Expression Line Limiter. And let me tell you, it caught my attention as a new mama because it is designed to smooth the appearance of expression lines, and it is often compared to, and I quote, a Botox alternative in a tube.
Whoa.
So since I recently had a baby, I am taking a break from all neurotoxin treatments. So sadly, I miss Botox so much. If you're against Botox, sorry, but I love a smooth forehead. Okay. And I also love, in the meantime, finding skincare options that help me feel like I'm still taking care of my skin. So probably gonna have to get that.
Same.
Does that sound
nice? Is it bad that I'm worried? You're worried about like baby lines. I'm worried about my frown lines.
Are you joking me?
Deepened.
Have you seen my forehead? It looks like people could plant rows of corn.
Okay. A little hyperbole really can kind of hurt the soul. Stop it. Don't talk about my friend that way. But seriously, if you want to feel good about yourself, you have your little hang-ups like you think you got, even though you don't. Cornrows across your forehead. You might have a little rinky do. But
not in my hair, but my forehead, boy, I think rose for days.
Oh, you're okay. Well, but I mean, nobody likes even the faintest of wrinkles. So this sounds like a good alternative to paralyzing your forehead with Botox.
LOL.
I mean, you won't look.
I had a very qualified ENT provider doing my Botox.
Oh, man. Was that a little quid pro quo?
I take it you've never had it.
No, I haven't. And I'm not against it either. I just want to be able to have expressions.
Well, okay. If they do it right, you can still move your face. Did you ever know I had it?
No.
Well, see, if they do it right, you don't know.
Well, I need the phone number of your person.
Yeah, she good. Okay,
Shannon?
so
sorry, this is so off the top.
No,
okay, all right.
no, but Shannon, oh, you're too far away. Okay, Love Indus products work beautifully across all skin types, tones, and ages. You can find these products and more at loveindus.com. That's LOVEINDUS.com. And don't forget to use our promo code STAYSUSPICIOUS at checkout for 21% off your order. Get that smooth forehead, girl or guy, whatever.
Listen, I want to try it. Does it work on tech neck, like turkey neck? I might try that.
I don't know, but let me know.
Apparently, you're the expert because you're the one doing the promo.
Oh,
listen,
well, I can't.
Listeners, this 21% off, it's worth trying it on your tech neck if you
and so I did look at the website, right? Because I'm not lying. I'm seriously considering getting this. And so I think it's like $88, but after our discount codes, it was like $68. That is, I would say, very good for a Botox in a tube.
You could take your dog to get her nails done.
Sorry, sweetheart.
You could buy some.
Mama needs a smooth forehead.
Who's more important at this juncture, right? Come on.
This tired mom with squash in her hair deserves Botox in a tube.
You do. Listen, Raven will understand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If not, she'll hide under the bed.
Right? She lets you know. She has her own language.
Okay.
Not to change the subject, but to change the subject, can I just say I am so excited about today's topic, and I find this case fascinating, and I'm really, really excited because I know you're going to bring a little you to the story and a little more information because I only know like a handful of things about it. So.
Okay. Well, I guess, I don't know if we're burying a lead here. Do we know what we're talking about? Paolo Macchiarini. If anybody's heard about him. I guess no time like the present to just get right in. Trigger warnings. Yeah, I didn't do well with that again. I put question mark with a...
I don't know, killer surgeon?
I'm so numb to them now. So I guess if killer surgeons are, a trigger for you, then here we go. Okay.
If a killer surgeon is a trigger, you probably aren't listening to our podcast to begin with. So.
Yeah. You got here by mistake, but welcome. We welcome everybody. And right. You know what? You wouldn't probably still be here to hear that because it's been 16 minutes of me clamoring about cornrows on my head.
Listen, this is all very good information so far.
I just hope that people that are like, holy goodness gracious me, oh my, please shut up, are like finding that skip 30 button because you can hit it. It's fine. Okay. We're in Stockholm, guys. It's June 9th, 2011, and a man lies on an operating table inside one of the most prestigious hospitals on Earth. The Karolinska University Hospital, home of the Nobel Prize in Medicine.
Never heard of it. Where is it? Sorry. I haven't heard of that.
Really?
Maybe that makes me a bit... Have you?
Well, I guess like I know way more about it from...
Sorry, did I just put you on the spot?
It's in Sweden.
Okay.
But I guess...
Okay, that's all I need to know.
So anyway... I feel like that's going to be a correction section. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Let's get back to this patient. He's on the table in the operating room. His chest is open. He has a diseased windpipe that has been cut away. And now a surgeon is about to do something no one has ever done before. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my God. That's not good. That's scary.
The patient's name is...
Anda Miriam Bayena.
Yeah. You guys, I tried to do all of us a favor by putting pronunciation keys after every single name. I'm just stammered at myself that I froze at the first one because I did this to avoid this. Here we are. The patient's name is Anda Murray. Nope.
Anda Miriam.
Anda Miriam Bayene.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, boy. Yeah, this is going to be great. He's 36 years old, and he's a doctoral student in geology at the University of Iceland. He's a husband and a father who's been diagnosed with late-stage tracheal cancer. He has been told that without the surgery, he will die. The surgeon lifts a white, Y-shaped scaffold from a sterile tray that is made of plastic, and it has been seeded with stem cells harvested from his own bone marrow. And according to the surgeon, the world's first fully synthetic organ. It was a windpipe grown in a laboratory, a miracle of regenerative medicine. The surgeon's name is Paolo Macchiarini. He is handsome, multilingual, and breathtakingly confident. Okay, this is by all accounts not my own accord.
But I've seen the documentary.
I haven't.
Sorry.
What?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only seen like his naughty, like mugshotty naughty picture. Not okay. Okay. He gives press conferences in 5 languages. He is published in The Lancet. He has been profiled on the front page of the New York Times and has been whispered about for a Nobel Prize. And he works at the very institution that awards it, the Karolinska University. He has told BNA and his family that this plastic scaffold will integrate within his body and that his own cells will then regenerate around it, allowing him to breathe again. Sounds great. But here is what actually happened. The scaffold did not integrate, and it never could. So within months, the plastic began to degrade inside BNA's airway, and his body attacked it as a foreign object, and then the infection set in. So the graft first collapsed, and BNA went under emergency surgery, after emergency surgery, just basically interventions to keep the disintegrating plastic from killing him. His left lung was eventually destroyed by chronic infection, and for 2.5 years he suffered. Anda Mariniam BNA died on January 7th, 2014 at only 38 years old. And here's the part that is enough to keep you up at night. BNA was not the first, and he wouldn't be the last. He was only one of 20 patients who received trachea implants from Paolo Macchiarini. 20 patients, and only 3 of them survived. The others, men, women, and even a 2-year-old baby, were told that they were receiving cutting-edge, life-saving treatment from a genius surgeon at the world's best hospitals. What they actually received was plastic tubes implanted by a man who had fabricated his credentials, falsified his research data, and never conducted adequate animal trials. A man whose procedures had no scientific basis, and a man whose institutions knew and looked the other way. Isn't that a tale as old as time?
Unfortunately, yes.
Mm-hmm. So this is the story of Paolo Macchiarini, the miracle maker who wasn't. The surgeon who charmed the world, seduced a television producer with fake papal wedding, and left a trail of bodies across 3 continents. It's a story about what happens when charisma is mistaken for competence, when prestige is mistaken for proof, and when the institutions built to protect all of us decide instead to protect themselves. Paolo Macchiarini was born on August 22nd, 1958, in Basel, Switzerland, to Italian parents. He grew up between Switzerland and Italy, earning his medical degree from the University of Pisa in 1986, and completed a Master of Surgery there in 1991. He later obtained advanced degrees from the University of Franche-Comté. I looked this up, but I forgot to put it in here. I'm so sorry. Franche-Comté in France, a master's, and then a doctorate in organ and tissue transplantation. On paper, his credentials were impeccable, and let me emphasize the on paper part because here is what Paolo understood, perhaps better than anyone in modern medicine, is this. In the world of elite academia, credentials are rarely checked. They are merely assured. If you are at the right institution with the right title, given the right press conferences, people will believe you are who you say you are. And Macchiarini said that he was extraordinary.
He was extraordinary at something.
Yeah. He claimed a 2-year fellowship in thoracic surgery at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. The university later confirmed he had completed only a 6-month fellowship in hematology and oncology, not actually surgery.
I mean, vastly different. That's like saying you can speak Mandarin Chinese, but you got like rudimentary Spanish conversational abilities. Yeah.
The thoracic surgery department he claimed to have been trained in didn't even exist at the time, actually. He also claimed a master's degree in biostatistics from the same university, and shocker, no record of that was ever found. He listed research positions and affiliations that could never be verified, and he padded that old CV with phantom accomplishments, each one just plausible enough to go unquestioned, and it worked, just as planned, because nobody questioned them. That is the first lesson of this story. The higher you climb, the less that anyone checks. In Italy, a commission at the University of Florence discovered that Paolo had fabricated credentials when he applied for a full professorship. They blocked his appointment, but the findings were never made public. He simply moved on, and next to Spain, and then to Germany, and finally to Sweden, carrying his false CV with him like a passport. He moved through the great hospitals of Europe, the hospital clinic in Barcelona, the University of Hanover, Great Ormond Street Hospital in London, and at each stop, he accumulated prestige. At each stop, he also left behind whispers about inflated results, about corners cut, and about a man who promised more than he delivered. But the whispers never caught up to him, because he was, by every account, extraordinarily charismatic. Colleagues described him as magnetic. He was tall, well-dressed, fluent in Italian, French, German, English, and Spanish. He gave press conferences with the ease of a head of state, and he name-dropped shamelessly. Popes, presidents, Nobel laureates. He spent lavishly, and he radiated the kind of supreme confidence that makes people want to believe. In 2010, the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm came a-callin'. The institution whose faculty awards the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, the crown jewel of European medical research. They wanted a star, and Paolo, with his 5 languages and his Lancet papers and his promises of a revolution in regenerative medicine, was exactly what they were looking for. They hired him as a visiting professor, and they did this despite receiving, according to a later investigation led by former Supreme Court Justice Sten Heckscher, quote, remarkably negative references, including information that he had been blocked from a professorship in Italy, that there were doubts surrounding his research, and that his CV contained falsehoods.
Wow.
Quote. Just a bouquet of red flags.
Yellow. You know how hard it is to talk about, like when someone asks for a reference to say something negative, how we struggle with that? Must have been pretty bad.
Yeah. So they hired him anyway, and at Karolinska, a phenomenon took hold that investigators would later call the bandwagon effect. Regenerative medicine was the most exciting frontier in science. Paolo was its most visible champion. Questioning him felt like opposing progress itself, and so the questions stopped and the red flags were filed away. The stage was set for what one former president of the Swedish Medical Association would later call the biggest research scandal Sweden has experienced in modern times.
Listen, never file those red flags away, people. No matter what the situation. Don't file those flags away.
Don't do it. Raise them high. So now it's November 2008, and we're in Barcelona, Spain, and Paolo Macchiarini stands before a wall of cameras and announces that he has done something unprecedented. He has transplanted a trachea into a 30-year-old Colombian woman named Claudia Castillo. But not just any trachea. No. He has taken a donor trachea, stripped it of its cells using a chemical process, reseeded it with Castillo's own stem cells, and implanted it into her body. No anti-rejection drugs needed. A new organ rebuilt from the patient's own biology, and the world went bananas.
Obviously. That's incredible.
Yeah. The Lancet, which is one of the most prestigious medical journals on the planet, published his results. Headlines declared a new era in medicine, and Paolo was hailed as a visionary. The procedure was called the first successful tissue-engineered trachea transplant, and it seemed to promise a future in which organs could be grown to order, essentially, eliminating transplant waiting lists forever. So, super promising, super hopeful, super exciting. We are terribly excited by these results, Macchiarini told reporters. Just 4 days after transplantation, the graft was almost indistinguishable from adjacent normal bronchi. Yeah, however, that wasn't true. What the Lancet paper did not say, what Macchiarini did not tell the cameras, was that the graft actually began collapsing within 3 weeks. Castillo needed a stent almost immediately to keep her airway open, and over the following years, she underwent dozens of additional procedures. And by 2016, her graft had failed entirely, and her left lung was removed. The quote-unquote revolutionary transplant had cost her a lung. But in 2008, none of this was known. The story that reached the public was the story that Paolo told. It was a miracle, and on the strength of that miracle, he began to dream bigger. What if you didn't need a donor trachea at all? And what if you could build one from scratch, a fully synthetic organ, a plastic scaffold seeded with the patient's own stem cells, no donor, no waiting list, no rejection, simply a windpipe made in a lab? The idea itself was revolutionary, and it was also, according to experts in the field, biologically impossible. Pierre Delera, a professor of experimental surgery at KU Leuven in Belgium, who had spent his career studying tracheal replacement, would later call it, quote, one of the biggest lies in medical history because you are doing something that is impossible from a theoretical point of view, end quote. The trachea is not like a bone in that it does not regenerate. A plastic scaffold cannot become a living airway simply by adding stem cells to it, which makes sense when you put it that way. The blood supply alone, the vascularization problem, had never been solved. But Paolo was not deterred by biology. He was propelled by ambition. In June 2011, Karolinska University Hospital and Amoranium BNA, the surgery that we described at the top of the episode. So Paolo and his team implanted a Y-shaped plastic scaffold manufactured by Harvard Bioscience, a publicly traded medical device company, into BNA's chest. It had been seeded with stem cells in a custom bioretractor for just 36 hours. There had been no large animal studies completed, no long-term trials, no ethical board review. The surgery was classified as a compassionate emergency procedure, a vital indication, they called it, even though BNA's cancer, while serious, was not immediately life-threatening. The New York Times put it on the front page with the headline calling it the world's first synthetic organ transplant. Paolo was photographed smiling, looking triumphant, and noble whispers began to grow louder. What the papers didn't report was that within months, the scaffold was disintegrating. BNA's body was rejecting the plastic. Granulation tissue was growing over it, blocking his airway, and emergency procedures followed, as I had mentioned, one after the other, and the left lung was destroyed by chronic infection. The published Lancet papers reported that he had a normal functioning airway, but that was actually a lie. Whistleblower Mateus Corbacho, a cardiac surgeon at Karolinska, would later testify, quote, it said he had a normal functioning airway. That wasn't true. They said that the patient was doing fine, and that's not true. One of his lungs was completely obliterated from a chronic infection, end quote. In November 2011, Paolo operated again, and this time on an American patient named Christopher Lyles. In July 2012, he implanted a third synthetic trachea into Ishim Chitir, a young Turkish woman. The pattern repeated each time. Brief publicity, then silence, and then suffering. The machine kept on building, though. The Lancet would publish, and the media celebrated. Harvard Bioscience's stock price responded to each headline. The grants flowed, and the patients behind closed doors, out of the spotlight, were dying. So let us stop here and do something that Paolo Macchiarini and the media never did, and let us talk about the patients because we find it equally important, if not more important, to highlight what we know about their lives as much as we can and not just chatter on about the villain in the story.
Amen.
So, Mr. Biene, we've mentioned him a couple times now in the opening and just moments ago, but he was 36, doctoral student in geology at the University of Iceland. And more importantly, he was a husband and a dad. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with the tracheal cancer, and as we know, he was told by Paolo that the synthetic trachea would save his life. I was very scared about the operation, he told BBC a month after surgery, but it was live or die. But it was not live or die. The Svea Court of Appeals would later determine that BNA, quote, could have lived for a not insignificant amount of time, end quote, without the intervention. But Paolo told him otherwise, and BNA believed the most famous surgeon in the world, because why wouldn't he? I would.
For sure. Yeah.
After surgery, the plastic scaffold degraded inside his chest, and he subsequently suffered the chronic infections, ultimately losing the left lung despite every additional emergency surgery he had. And unfortunately, sadly, he died on January 7th, 2014 at just 38 years old. Christopher Lyles was born in Baltimore and a former Marine. He was diagnosed with tracheal cancer and was told his only hope was Paolo's synthetic trachea. So he did what I'm sure everyone would do if it was within their means. He traveled to Stockholm in November 2011. Unfortunately, the graft failed and he suffered the same cascade of complications. The degradation, infections, airway collapse, and sadly, he died on March 6, 2012, less than 4 months after the surgery at only 30 years old.
That's so young.
Ishim Chitir was a young Turkish woman with a tracheal condition that wasn't life-threatening. She wasn't dying by any means, and she didn't need the experimental synthetic organ, but Paolo persuaded her that this procedure would give her a better quality of life, so she opted to move forward. She received her synthetic trachea in July 2012 at Karolinska. What followed was nearly 4 years of unimaginable suffering. The graft literally rotted inside of her, and she underwent close to 200 additional surgeries, which included corrective procedures, stent placements, and emergency interventions. All attempts at trying to keep her alive as her body fought the foreign object in her throat. She was in and out of the hospital for years until she sadly passed away in 2017 at only 36 years old.
God.
She had been a healthy young woman before she met Paolo Macchiarini. Her family later sued the makers of the synthetic trachea scaffold for wrongful death. Yulia Tulik. Like Ashim, Yulia had a condition that was not life-threatening before she opted for surgery. She did not need to be on the operating table, but Paolo convinced her otherwise. After the transplant, the synthetic trachea began to rot inside of her chest, and the smell was so overpowering that, according to documentary footage that I had read about, people around her shuddered away. She described, before she died, the experience of her own body decomposing from the inside out. And she died from complications of the graft. Just another patient who was not dying until he intervened.
Tragic. So disgusting.
Hannah Warren, a 2-year-old who was born in South Korea without a trachea, a rare congenital condition called tracheal agenesis. She had spent her entire life in a hospital in Seoul, breathing through a tube. Her parents, understandably desperate, found Paolo, and he told them that he could give their daughter a windpipe that she would, quote, go from being a virtual prisoner in a hospital bed to running around and playing with her sister and enjoying a normal life, end quote. The surgery was performed at the Children's Hospital of Illinois in Peoria on April 9th, 2013. The FDA had approved it based on Macchiarini's published data, the same data that was fabricated, the same successes that were actually failures. Hannah Warren died on July 6, 2013, less than 3 months after surgery, and she was only 2 years old. Her parents had been promised a miracle, and all they got was a coffin.
Oh my God, I can't handle this. This is so
I
terrible.
can't. And these are only the most documented cases. In total, at least 20 patients received tracheal transplants from Paolo with donor tissue. Others were fully synthetic scaffolds, and 7 of the 8 patients who received tracheas died. So of all of the 20 patients, only 3 are confirmed alive. So that's a big 15% success rate.
Yeah, basically 15% survived in spite of him trying to kill them is how I read that.
Yeah. By emergency measures, I am sure. Yeah. But despite what all of the research data says.
Well, it doesn't seem like there were any peer review studies like challenging these because, he decided he had something special that only he could do and nobody else obviously was able to study it.
And throughout this period of time, he continued to publish papers in The Lancet and other journals reporting successful outcomes. He continued to give press conferences while still accepting grants and awards. The published record said his patients were thriving. The hospital records said that they were dying. And the gap between those two realities is the gap at the center of this crime. In 2013, 4 doctors, Carl Grenemo, Matthias Corbascio, Thomas Fuchs, and Oscar Simonson at Karolinska began to notice that something was very wrong. They worked at the same hospital where Macchiarini was performing his surgeries, and they could see in the hallways in the patient wards and the medical records that they had access to that the published results did not exactly match reality. We saw that patients who received an artificial trachea weren't faring well after the procedure, Grinamo later told Retraction Watch. So we started to investigate if there were animal studies or other data to support that the grafts worked in patients. What they found was devastating. Corbaccio began reading Macchiarini's published papers carefully, comparing them against the actual patient records. When I started reading specifically the papers that Paolo himself had written, he later told ABC's 2020, then we could quite quickly come to the conclusion that what was written in the papers was not what was going on in reality, end quote. The papers said that the patients were doing well, but as we know now, they were dying. Oh, the papers said that the grafts were functioning, but they were actually disintegrating. The papers said that there was scientific basis for the procedures, but there was none. Yeah. No adequate animal studies had ever been conducted. Ever. Bo Reisberg, a former president of the Swedish Medical Association, would later call the failure to perform preclinical animal tests the worst crime you can commit. Those 4 doctors compiled their findings into an extraordinary report, and I mean extraordinary, okay? It was over 500 pages of documentation, clinical records, imaging studies, and paper-by-paper analysis of Macchiarini's published claims versus the medical reality. They estimated they invested more than 10,000 hours of labor, which I bet, This was not a casual complaint. This was a prosecution file built by doctors who believed that they had a moral obligation to stop a colleague from killing patients. In the summer of 2014, Grinamo brought the findings to Anders Hamsten, the vice chancellor of Karolinska Institute. I basically forced them to agree to an investigation, Grinamo later recalled. But it was a very tough meeting. The feeling I got was that they wanted to silence everything. Karolinska did commission an external investigation, which I guess is better than internal, but yeah. They appointed Bengt Gierden, a professor of surgery at Uppsala University, to examine the allegations. In May 2015, Gierden delivered his verdict. He surmised that Macchiarini was guilty of scientific misconduct in 7 published papers. The findings described, quote, a systemic misrepresentation of the truth that leads the reader to have false impression of the success of the technique, end quote.
Amen.
This should have been the end of him. Hello, again, tale as old as time. A formal finding of scientific misconduct delivered by an independent expert should have triggered his dismissal, the retraction of his papers, and a criminal referral. Vice Chancellor Hamsten overruled Gierden. Unfortunately, he commissioned a second review, and this time by an internal committee, which reached a different conclusion. No misconduct. Macchiarini was cleared and his contract was extended, which is bananas to me. Bananas. The whistleblowers were told that they were wrong, but it was worse than being told that they were wrong. They were treated as a problem, and here enters the retaliation. I know. Over the next 2 years, those 4 doctors who had tried to save lives by telling the truth had their own lives systematically destroyed. Macchiarini filed police reports against them, accusing them of violating patient confidentiality by accessing records that ultimately proved patients were suffering. Regardless of what they had proved or not, they had no reason to be looking at their records. They were subjected to misconduct investigations, and their careers at Karolinska were damaged or derailed. So, let's think about that for a second. These 4 doctors discovered a colleague is implanting plastic tubes into patients based on fabricated data, and then those patients are dying, and that's being published that they're not dying, and it's all a lie. So they spend tens of thousands of hours documenting the truth and bring it to the institution, and then the institution turns on them. It's just disgusting. In a later letter, the whistleblowers wrote directly to Hamsten that read, Prof. Hamsten was informed personally in detail on February 21st, 2014 by Dr. Grinamo of the state of the patients operated on at Karolinska and the gross and serial misrepresentation of their clinical outcomes in the articles published by Prof. Macchiarini. At this time, it should have immediately been initiated an investigation, but instead nothing was done. After this first meeting, at least 9 attempts on our part were initiated to bring attention to these circumstances. 9! There were 9 attempts, and of all of those 9 times, the institution chose silence. The whistleblowers would eventually be vindicated, but the vindication came years too late, at enormous personal costs, and only after forces outside Karolinska forced the truth into the open. The crack that broke Karolinska open did not come from the inside, but actually from television producer and a magazine journalist. In January 2016, 2 things happened almost simultaneously. Vanity Fair published a devastating article by Adam Sorelsky titled The Celebrity Surgeon Who Used Love, Money, and the Pope to Scam an NBC News Producer, which we would normally get to shortly, but you guys, this is getting really long, so I don't know if we're going to get to that shortly. You might hear about that next week. We'll see. And in Sweden, filmmaker Basa Lindqvist aired a 3-part documentary on SVT called The Experiments that, with clinical precision, laid bare the full scope of Macchiarini's scientific fraud. Lindqvist had spent years investigating, and he had the patient records, the whistleblower's testimony, and the gap between what Macchiarini published and what actually happened. And he put all of it into paper and on Swedish national television. Booyah. Within weeks of the documentary's broadcast, the carefully constructed wall of institutional protection around Macchiarini began to slowly collapse. Yeehaw! On February 13th, 2016, Vice Chancellor Anders Hamsten, the man who overruled the Yerden report, resigned. In his resignation letter, he wrote, "It seems very likely that my decision in this case was wrong. I completely misjudged the surgeon." Yeah. Remember your first external review investigation? Yeah. Shouldn't have done it internal after that. But he was not the last to fall. Urban Lendahl, the Secretary General of the Noble Assembly, the man who had personally recruited Macchiarini to Karolinska, resigned from his Noble Assembly position. Lendahl had been instrumental in bringing Macchiarini to Stockholm, and his departure exposed the uncomfortable truth that the Nobel Prize institution itself had been entangled in the scandal. Harriet Wahlberg, the former vice chancellor who had first approved Macchiarini's hiring despite the negative references uncovered, was removed from her subsequent government appointment as the chancellor of Swedish universities. In September 2016, Sten Heckscher, a former president of Sweden's Supreme Administrative Court, delivered his independent investigation report, and it was damning. He found that Karolinska had received remarkable negative references about Macchiarini before hiring him, including evidence of credential fabrication and blocked appointments in Italy.
Wow! Oh my God.
The institution had hired him anyway because they were dazzled by his star power. And then the Swedish government took the most dramatic step of all. It sacked the entire board of the Karolinska Institute.
Oh my God. Good for them.
Toodaloo. Not a resignation or a quiet restructuring. Just the government fired them. I love it. The man who had once been whispered about for the Nobel Prize had instead triggered the worst institutional crisis in Karolinska history. The institution that decides who receives medicine's highest honor had been unable to recognize a fraud operating under its own roof, or worse, had recognized him and chose to look away. So, yeah, guys, I think I made this one a little long. So if it's okay with everyone, not that you can answer me because we're going to decide here anyway, we're going to make this a part 2, a two-parter.
This is fascinating. You've done a fantastic job. There's so much about this guy. The bloody cheek. I mean, that's an understatement of the year. I mean, this guy was a narcissist to the nth degree, and he didn't care who he took in his bath. As a result of his negligence, he just wanted to be seen as something he never was, which was a revolutionary, somebody who was creating and solving something that had never been done before. I don't understand how he could continue this for so many cases before it got highlighted.
Well, and then the poor 4 that tried to bring it to light, the retaliation, I just cannot with retaliation. No. I cannot.
No.
Especially, and we can talk more about this next week, but all of the time and effort that they put forth to comb through the records and to actually compare like real life versus what was put on paper, and then just to get retaliated against after that. No bueno.
But that same sort of thing happened in the Letby case. You know, those physicians presented concerns and they were brought to the carpet and like, you need to learn to get along in the sandbox and penalized and humiliated. And yet the whole time they were bringing up these legitimate concerns. So is it time for sponsor number 2?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it is. And so sponsor 2 starts with admission. I've had a sweet tooth lately. Ugh, so bad. I was like, anything sweet, need it, gotta have it. Our pantry is so sad right now. But if you've been feeling the same, this next sponsor is for us, friends. Molly B's, the gourmet cookies. Molly B's is back. Molly B's brings small batch artisan cookies straight to your doorstep, and these are not your average cookies. Every cookie is handcrafted with high quality ingredients, incredible textures, and some seriously creative flavor combinations. We're talking cookies that are indulgent, unexpected, and basically an adventure in your mouth with every bite. Some fan favorites include the tea cookie, which combines Earl Grey tea, lavender, white chocolate, and a lemon glaze, and Be Cordial, which brings together chocolate, cherry, and amaretto for a rich dessert experience. What we love about Molly B's is the story behind the brand, because your girl Molly is a single mom from Alaska who turned her passion for baking into a nationally recognized cookie company in just a few short years. The brand has been featured on the Food Network, Martha Stewart Living, and they were even served at the Grammy Awards. So whether you are looking for a unique gift, a treat for yourself, or just want to upgrade your cookie game, Molly B's makes it easy to enjoy bakery quality cookies without leaving your house. They have tons of creative flavors, from coffee and chocolate to coconut, fruity cereal, and even some bold combinations you'd never expect. Just ask Jenna if you need recommendations.
Everyone needs a little treat.
Yeah, girl. Head to mollyb's.com and use our promo code STAYSUSPICIOUS for 10% off your order, and trust us, your future self will thank you. Your taste buds, at least.
Speaking of treats, it's time for our medical mishap.
Wow.
The subject line of this email is bananas nearly sent me to urgent care. Oh boy.
Hey.
Hi, Jenna, Amanda, and the little baby. It says why, double exclamation point. First of all, congratulations on your sweet little one. I felt compelled to send this in because I have a feeling Amanda, especially Amanda, will appreciate it. I'm also a first-time mom, and I think our babies were born around the same time. Oh, Tony.
Aww.
If that's true, solidarity, sister. We're all just out here trying to keep tiny humans alive while simultaneously questioning every decision we make. I feel that hard.
Yep.
I may not have a newborn baby now, but I remember that feeling when I did have one. So this isn't really a medical mishap that happened to me or a family member. It's more of a parenting mishap, or maybe my anxiety got the best of me mishap. Either way, I hope you both get a laugh out of it, because I certainly can now. My daughter had recently been cleared by her pediatrician to start purees. As a first-time mom, I spent way too much time reading parenting blogs, watching videos, and convincing myself that every decision I made was somehow going to shape her future forever. Oh, I feel that hard.
Yep.
You know the advice I'm talking about, like, quote, start with vegetables first, or they'll only ever want fruit, end quote. Quote, don't introduce foods too quickly, end quote. Watch for allergies. Do this, don't that. Oh my gosh, whatever. It's enough to make your head spin.
Yep.
So naturally, I played it safe and I started with sweet potatoes. I mean, honestly, it was equal parts fear of trying something new and the fact that sweet potatoes happened to be what I had in the house. After a while, I decided it was time to branch out. I mean, bananas. Bananas seem harmless enough, right? I mashed one up, froze a little for her sore gums. Oh, her little sore gummies. Sorry, that's me. Okay, the writer says, for her sore gums, since she was working on some tiny little teeth, and she absolutely loved it. She devoured every bite, and I walked away feeling like I completely nailed it. this whole introducing solids thing. But that confidence lasted exactly until the next diaper change. I opened the diaper. Oh, no. I opened the diaper. I looked down and I immediately thought, my child has worms. Okay. Oh, no. Well, not maybe worms, not possibly worms, but definitely worms. There were these black stringy things throughout her diaper that looked exactly like little worms. My heart absolutely dropped into my stomach. Oh my God, mine would have too.
Yeah.
I immediately started mentally retracing. What has she done over the last few days? How could she have gotten worms? She barely leaves the house. We don't have pets. She can't even crawl yet. My brain was doing Olympic level mental gymnastics, trying to figure out how did my infant pick up a parasite? So I did what every anxious parent does. I took pictures. I sent a frantic message to the patient portal to her pediatrician, and I spent the next 20 minutes convincing myself I was going to be packing a diaper bag for an urgent care visit. I should also mention I have pretty significant medical anxiety, so while I was waiting for a response, I'd already progressed into imagining stool samples, medications, and explaining to my husband how our baby ended up with intestinal worms before she'd even had her first birthday. Oh, thankfully, my pediatrician responded before I had the chance to embarrass myself in person. The message simply said, well, bananas commonly leave behind little black fibers that look remarkably similar to worms in a baby's diaper.
Oh my gosh.
It's completely normal. Nothing to worry about. Well, I wasn't going to accept that, so naturally I Googled it immediately and discovered that, quote, banana poop looks like worms, quote, is apparently such a common panic that there's countless articles and forum posts about it. Evidently, I joined a very large club of first-time parents who experienced the exact same moment of sheer terror. So, to any other new parents listening who are about to introduce bananas, let me save you a mild cardiac event. If you see little black worm-looking streaks in your baby's diaper after bananas, don't panic. They're almost certainly just banana fibers doing what banana fibers be doing. I hope this saves another sleep-deprived parent from spiraling the way that I did. Stay cool, alley cats. Betsy.
Betsy, thank you for saving me from the banana scares, because we have not introduced bananas because I read the same thing. Don't do fruit or all the wanted fruit. Okay, he's had like
gosh.
he had like apple in like a like there was these pouches, right? It was like pork and apple with green beans and whatever. So like I guess he's had that, but yeah. Betsy, thank you. And now that I'm like thinking about it, I can totally picture the little squiggles you're talking about, because when you make banana bread, it has those little like squeaks in it.
Yeah, those little black. Is that where the seeds are, though? Right?
I have no idea.
The banana seeds are black inside. They're tiny little things inside the core of the banana.
But they come out as squiggles?
Slice it. Yeah. Because when you slice it, because they're connected together in like this little minuscule little gel. Yeah. Anyway, I will say, listen, you guys have you new moms now, I sound like an old lady, but you new moms now have such a quagmire of scrutiny and judgment and rules going on that I never had to deal with. So I can only imagine the panic. Y'all are good moms. Listen, have confidence in yourself. A little fresh banana never hurt anybody. And you know what? So what if your poop is stringy? Go for it. I didn't know what else to say, but listen, this is informative.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I scrutinize my kids' poop that much. So I think that happens with a lot of detailed judgment on social media. So
yeah,
you guys, I don't envy you the amount of stress that brings to light, but I feel like my mom's, like my parents' generation, also were glad they didn't have the scrutiny, because it was like, oh, smoking, drinking, who cares? Like that doesn't affect the fetus.
Well, they were told to do that.
Exactly. It'll relax you. It'll be better for the baby. So
yeah, well, you'll be a better mom if you relax.
Progress. Right.
Go pop a heater. The advice has changed.
Oh, man.
Well, normally I would ask you here, what should we expect next week? But I guess I outdid myself with this one. I hope it's going to be long enough for next week.
You will, because I've got some other insight for you that you might want to look into. I think it will be. I think it's going to be great. But meanwhile, I know it's going to be great. I didn't mean to sound like I think, and I'm not sure. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, because this guy is a topic in unto himself. He could have a whole series. Anyway, don't miss a beat. Subscribe or follow Doctor and the Truth wherever you enjoy your podcasts for stories that shock, intrigue, and educate. Trust, after all, is a delicate thing. You can text us directly on our website at doctoringthetruth@buzzsprout.com or email us your story ideas and comments at doctoringthetruth@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Doctoring the Truth Podcast and on Facebook at Doctoring the Truth. We're on TikTok at Doctoring the Truth and EdAudPod, EDAUDPOD. Don't forget to download, rate, and review so we can be sure to bring you more content next week. And until then, stay safe and stay suspicious.
I gotta go get the squash out of my hair.
Bye.
Bye.